August 1989. A Secret Service technician presses his eye to a microscope, examining a $100 bill seized in Manila. Every test says genuine. But something gnaws at him. He cranks magnification to 400 times and his stomach drops. The bill isn't flawed. It's too perfect. Someone fixed imperfections the Treasury deliberately leaves in. This counterfeit is better than real money. Thousands of identical bills have already flooded the global economy. Irish banks will soon refuse $100 bills entirely. And the man behind it? Not a master engraver or a chemist. A 60-year-old who walked into North Korea and walked out with a license to print American money. The US will spend hundreds of millions redesigning its currency to stop him. He'll never spend a day in prison. How did one man counterfeit trust itself? And why couldn't America's superpower touch him? Dublin, 1988. Sean Garland has a problem that no amount of revolutionary fervor can solve. He's running out of money. As president of the Workers' Party of Ireland, a Marxist organization that splintered from the IRA, he commands a network of operatives across Europe. Running that network costs money. Guns cost money, and safe houses cost money. Printing presses for propaganda, bribes to customs officials, travel documents for men who can't use their real names. All of it costs money. For years, the Soviet Union bankrolled everything, funneling over £1 million Irish pounds through Moscow front companies. But the USSR is collapsing. Garland's Kremlin contacts have stopped answering calls. The pipeline has run dry, and he's watching his life's work crumble in real time. Sean Garland is not a man who accepts defeat. On New Year's Day 1957, at age 23, he led an armed assault on Brookborough Royal Ulster Constabulary Barracks in Northern Ireland. During the firefight, a bullet punched through his lung and dropped him on frozen ground. He nearly bled out waiting for extraction. The IRA gave him a medal for valor. The British government put him on their most wanted list for the next decade. He spent the following 30 years building revolutionary networks across Europe while evading capture by multiple intelligence agencies. So when traditional fundraising fails, Garland doesn't give up. He asks a question that would terrify any economist. If banks don't have enough money worth stealing, why not manufacture money instead? That question leads him 5,000 miles east to the most isolated nation on Earth. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea is cash-starved, pathologically anti-American, and crucially technologically capable. Kim Il-sung's regime needs hard currency to buy weapon systems, import luxury goods for party elites, and prop up an economy strangled by international sanctions. Garland needs a funding source that doesn't depend on Moscow's whims. What if they could print their own dollars? Not the North Korean one, worthless outside Pyongyang. American dollars, the global reserve currency, the one form of money accepted everywhere on Earth. In early 1989, Garland boards a series of flights, Dublin to Moscow to Beijing to Pyongyang, each leg stripping away another layer of the familiar world. When he steps off the aging Ilyushin turboprop onto North Korean tarmac, he enters a country frozen in 1953, the year the armistice paused the Korean War. Giant bronze statues of Kim Il-sung tower over boulevards empty of civilian traffic. Soldiers goose-step in perfect unison past concrete apartment blocks with no lights in the windows. Loudspeakers mounted on every corner blare patriotic music. Every citizen wears the same expression of rehearsed devotion. Garland, who thought he understood totalitarian systems from his years dealing with Moscow, realizes he understood nothing. This is something else entirely. The meeting happens in a windowless conference room inside a government compound in central Pyongyang. On one side of the table, officials from room 39. Kim's secretive bureau for generating foreign currency through any means necessary, insurance fraud, arms dealing, methamphetamine production, whatever works. On the other side, a foreigner with a thick Dublin accent and a proposition that would constitute an act of war if discovered. The pitch is simple but audacious. North Korea will print flawless US $100 bills using state resources and industrial facilities. Garland will distribute them through his criminal networks across Europe and beyond. They split the profits. If anyone gets caught, Pyongyang has plausible deniability. just another rogue smuggling operation, nothing to do with the government. Both sides agree immediately. The logic is irresistible. If they succeed, they'll have unlimited access to American dollars without asking America's permission. They won't be counterfeiting currency. They'll be counterfeiting the concept of money itself, creating value from nothing, siphoning wealth from the US economy with every bill that enters circulation. But here's the problem. Nobody in that room is solved. The $100 bill is the most protected banknote ever designed. It contains security features that took the Treasury decades to develop: specialized paper, optically variable ink, microprinting invisible to the naked eye. Can a starving dictatorship actually replicate it? Deep inside a military compound outside Pyongyang, North Korean technicians begin reverse engineering the $100 bill under direct orders from Kim Il-sung. This isn't a back alley print shop with inkjet printers and scissors. It's an industrial facility staffed by engineers, chemists, and master engravers, all operating under the authority of Office 39. Workers labor in rotating shifts, forbidden from discussing their assignment even with family. The penalty for talking about the project is execution. The penalty for failure is the same. Success means unlimited funding for the regime and personal rewards for everyone involved. The stakes couldn't be higher. They found several problems in the process. The first one is that the printing press, US currency, is made using intaglio machines, massive devices that force ink into steel-engraved plates with 20 tons of pressure. That pressure creates the distinctive raised texture you feel when you rub a real bill. These presses cost millions of dollars each and require precision engineering that only a handful of factories worldwide can produce. And you can't buy one on the open market. In 1990, North Korean intelligence agents locate one through shadowy intermediaries in Japan and Germany, companies willing to sell without asking questions about end users. They ship it to Pyongyang in crates labeled agricultural equipment. Customs officials along the route are bribed to look the other way. Within months, the press is installed 2 stories underground, hidden from satellite surveillance. It thunders to life, and technicians in white coats watch as Benjamin Franklin's face emerges in perfect relief. Then came the second problem: the paper. American currency isn't printed on wood pulp like normal paper. It's a classified blend of 75% cotton and 25% linen, embedded with microscopic red and blue security fibers, visible only under magnification. The formula is a state secret. The specialized machinery to produce it costs tens of millions. So Kim's agents go shopping around the world: Hong Kong, Switzerland, an Eastern European paper mill, willing to sell without asking what the paper is for. By 1992, diplomatic pouches are delivering cotton linen stock to Pyongyang that feels identical to Federal Reserve paper: the same crispness, the same slight resistance when folded, the same microscopic fibers glinting under ultraviolet light. Third problem, the one everyone said was impossible, is the ink. On a genuine $100 bill, the numeral 100 in the lower right corner shifts from green to black when you tilt it at an angle. That's optically variable ink, or OVI, a formula manufactured exclusively for the US Bureau of Engraving by a Swiss company called SICPA. The contracts explicitly prohibit sale to any other party. The security is supposedly airtight, but somehow North Korea obtains a supply. Defectors who later escaped the regime suggest a French intermediary diverted a shipment. Others claim Pyongyang's chemists reverse-engineered the formula through spectrographic analysis, breaking down the molecular structure compound by compound and rebuilding it from scratch. Either way, by 1994, North Korean bills have the color-shifting magic. They pass every field test the Secret Service has ever designed. The facility runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, guarded by military units who don't know what they're protecting. Each month it produces millions of dollars in flawless $100 bills, stacked in vaults like ammunition waiting for deployment. US intelligence has no idea this operation exists. But here's the twist that will haunt counterfeit investigators for years. The fakes are too good. North Korean engravers, obsessing over perfection, corrected tiny flaws that the Treasury deliberately leaves in every genuine note. imperfections caused by aging plates and normal printing variation. A slightly blurred line became razor sharp. A microscopic smudge was cleaned up. Under extreme magnification, the supernotes look better than authentic bills. By the mid-1990s, whispers of an extraordinary counterfeit begin spreading through law enforcement circles. Banks in Hong Kong, Moscow, Manila, and Dublin encounter occasional $100 bills that feel subtly strange, the paper slightly too crisp, the printing slightly too clean, but pass every mechanical and chemical test. Tellers shrug and deposit them. ATMs accept them without hesitation. Casinos count them into their vaults. When specimens eventually reach the Secret Service crime lab in Washington, analysts run them through every detection protocol and find almost nothing wrong. They give this new threat a code name: supernotes, short for super counterfeits. The product is essentially indistinguishable from money, as spendable as real currency, created from nothing. North Korea has built the only counterfeit operation in history that can fool the country that prints the originals. Now Garland has to move the product across borders without getting caught, and the distribution method he devises exploits a loophole that makes his shipments legally untouchable, even when authorities know exactly what's inside. How do you smuggle millions in counterfeit cash across international borders without ever passing through a checkpoint? Sean Garland found the answer hidden in plain sight: diplomatic pouches. By international treaty, sealed bags traveling between embassies cannot be searched by any customs authority on Earth. A pouch marked official correspondence from the North Korean embassy in Moscow might contain routine paperwork or $500,000 in supernotes wrapped in brown paper. Nobody can legally open it to check. The courier walks through airports without screening. The product enters Europe completely invisible. Garland exploits this loophole ruthlessly. His couriers never encounter security. His cash never passes through X-ray machines. Supernotes move from Pyongyang to Moscow to Dublin without leaving a trace. By the time they enter the European banking system, their origin is completely untraceable. The fake money arrives cleaner than real money. Here's how the laundering operation works. Garland's key European partner is a man named Hugh Todd, an Irish South African hustler with connections to currency exchangers from London to Johannesburg. The business model is elegant. Todd pays $30,000 in genuine currency and receives $100,000 in supernotes, a 70% discount on money itself. He then walks those fakes into exchange bureaus, banks, and casinos across Europe, converting them into real pounds, Deutschmarks, and francs at face value. His profit margin exceeds 200%. Garland's cut is a steady stream of authentic currency to fund his Workers' Party operations, plus whatever personal luxuries catch his eye. In April 1998, Garland, codenamed the man with the hat for the battered fedora he always wears, meets Todd in a suite at Moscow's Radisson Slavyanskaya Hotel. Security cameras in the lobby capture him entering, an older man in a dark coat, unremarkable except for that distinctive hat. Upstairs, he upends a leather bag onto the bed. $80,000 in crisp hundreds cascade across the white sheets like green confetti. Todd examines a few bills, running his thumb across the raised printing, tilting them to watch the 100 shift from green to black. Perfect, indistinguishable from genuine treasury notes. He hands over a smaller stack of genuine British pounds, the agreed-upon payment. 3 minutes later, the transaction is complete. Two criminals walk away richer. The American economy absorbs another wound it won't feel for years. Similar exchanges happen across Europe throughout the mid-1990s. Belarus, Poland, Denmark, Prague. London's shadowy back-alley exchange bureaus unknowingly trade North Korean forgeries for sterling. A single courier can convert $50,000 in supernotes into genuine European currencies over a weekend, visiting a dozen exchange windows without triggering suspicion. The cash disperses. The trail goes cold. By the late 1990s, so many supernotes circulate in Ireland that several major banks, Allied Irish, Bank of Ireland, and Ulster Bank, stop accepting $100 bills entirely. Tellers are instructed to politely refuse them regardless of customer protests. American tourists find themselves stranded with cash no Irish institution will touch. Think about that. The world's reserve currency, rejected in a modern Western democracy because nobody can tell real from fake. The infection crosses the Atlantic. A European tourist unknowingly carries supernotes to New York, spending them at restaurants and shops. A Moscow exchange passes a bundle that eventually reaches a Las Vegas casino cage. The bills slide into slot machines without triggering alarms, convert to chips, get cashed out as genuine winnings. How many millions have already circulated through the Federal Reserve itself, counted, processed, and redistributed as authentic currency? Washington finally wakes up in 1996. At a tense House Banking Committee hearing broadcast on C-SPAN, Congressman Spencer Bachus holds up a $100 bill and warns of counterfeits so sophisticated they escape detection by all but the most advanced forensic equipment. He passes the bill to colleagues. None of them can identify it as fake. The implication chills everyone in the chamber. If trained legislators can't tell the difference, ordinary citizens have no chance. And here's what makes this an existential threat. U.S. currency isn't backed by gold. It isn't backed by silver. It's backed by trust, global faith that dollars are real. Garland and Kim Il-sung have figured out how to counterfeit trust itself. The CIA, Secret Service, FBI, and Treasury launched the largest counterfeiting investigation in American history. They strongly suspect North Korea. Defectors have described the Pyongyang facility. But directly accusing a nuclear-armed nation of currency warfare carries diplomatic consequences nobody wants. So they devise a different strategy: ignore Pyongyang, target the distribution network, and trap the one player not protected by sovereign immunity. Sean Garland is about to become the most hunted counterfeiter on Earth. The FBI's plan to catch him will require agents to become criminals themselves, and it won't spring for another 3 years. The FBI's plan sounds like a Hollywood pitch. Embed undercover agents in the criminal underworld for years, build trust with smugglers and traffickers, and work their way up the supernote supply chain until they reach Garland himself. They call it Operation Smoking Dragon. A sister operation, Royal Charm, runs parallel on the East Coast. Together, they represent the most ambitious undercover sting in counterfeiting history. It launches in 2002 and won't be ready to spring for another 36 months. Here's how it works. Undercover FBI and Secret Service agents set up shop in Southern California, posing as members of a mob-connected smuggling ring. They let word spread through criminal networks that they're buying anything illegal: counterfeit currency, methamphetamine, bootleg cigarettes, or stolen military equipment. No questions asked, with the highest prices paid. The bait works faster than expected. Within months, a smuggler with triad connections approaches them in a Los Angeles warehouse, offering the best fake hundreds anywhere in the world. The undercover agent examines the bills with practiced casualness. He recognizes the supernote markers immediately, the too-perfect printing, the flawless color shift. He keeps his face neutral and agrees to a larger buy. The pipeline is tapped. Now comes the patient, dangerous work of mapping the entire conspiracy. For 36 months, agents live double lives. They attend meetings in restaurant back rooms and parking garages at 2 a.m. They negotiate prices on burner phones that get destroyed weekly. They maintain cover identities with fabricated histories, fake driver's licenses, staged arrest records that traffickers can verify through corrupt contacts. They arrange controlled buys while wearing wires, documenting every transaction for prosecutors while keeping the network intact. One wrong word could blow years of work and get agents killed. Each deal reveals another node: couriers operating out of Newark hotel rooms, distributors laundering cash through Vegas casino cages, intermediaries with documented ties to North Korean diplomatic staff in European capitals. Surveillance teams photograph handoffs. Wiretaps capture coded conversations. Forensic accountants trace money flows through shell companies in 3 countries. The conspiracy map eventually covers an entire wall at FBI headquarters, a web of relationships stretching from Pyongyang to Dublin to Los Angeles, with Sean Garland at the center. By 2004, Operation Smoking Dragon is ready to spring. In a series of coordinated raids across multiple time zones, federal authorities sweep up 87 suspects and seize over $4.5 million in counterfeit currency. The creativity of the concealment methods stuns even veteran agents. Supernotes sandwiched between the pages of hardcover books, rolled into the lining of fabric bolts, stuffed inside children's toy crates with professionally built false bottoms. One shipping container holds bricks of fake cash hidden inside hollow happy birthday card displays. The same networks were moving methamphetamine and counterfeit Viagra, narcotics and knockoff pharmaceuticals traveling identical routes as Kim's funny money. Here's the detail that sounds invented, but isn't. To lure one group of particularly cautious suspects out of hiding, the FBI stages an elaborate ruse, a fake wedding celebration on a yacht anchored off Atlantic City. Formal invitations go out. Champagne is ordered by the case. Even a DJ is hired. When the criminal guests arrive at the marina dressed for celebration, expecting a pleasure cruise and an open bar, they find federal agents waiting at the gangplank. Handcuffs replace wedding rings, and the yacht never leaves the dock. Under pressure of life sentences, key operatives flip and start spilling secrets for leniency. Hugh Todd cooperates, providing detailed testimony about his deals with the man with the hat. Another informant, codenamed Russian Dave, leads agents to Moscow's Kazan railway station, where $70,000 in supernotes waits in a luggage locker, wrapped ingeniously inside packages of menstrual pads. Piece by piece, the network unravels. In September 2004, a federal grand jury in Washington quietly indicts Sean Garland and 6 co-conspirators for operating an international counterfeit currency conspiracy from 1997 through 2000. The Americans have their man, on paper, but Garland isn't in custody. He's been shuttling between the Republic of Ireland and friendly territories that won't honor U.S. extradition requests. For over a year, he evades capture by staying south of the Irish border, where Dublin historically protects its own citizens. Then, on October 7, 2005, he makes a fatal miscalculation. He crosses north into Belfast, British territory, to deliver a keynote speech at a Workers' Party conference. Maybe he thinks it's too low profile to attract attention. Maybe he trusts the fragile Northern Ireland peace process to restrain British authorities from making a politically sensitive arrest. He's wrong about both. As Garland sits down to dinner before his speech, tactical officers storm the venue. They were dressed like Star Wars characters, he later recalls. Black helmets, black visors. The frail, white-haired man is placed in handcuffs. After decades operating in shadows, the shadow is caught. One agent tells reporters this is the most significant arrest in the 16-year supernote investigation. The Americans breathe relief. But they're about to learn that catching Garland was the easy part. Sean Garland shuffles into a Belfast courtroom, looking every bit the confused grandfather. White hair, frail frame, shuffling steps, bewildered expression. It's theater. Behind those watery eyes, his mind is calculating angles of escape. The United States has formally requested extradition. If Garland lands on American soil, the charges waiting for him carry decades of prison time. At 71, with his health issues, any significant sentence means dying in a federal cell. So he does what he's done his entire life. He fights with every weapon available. His lawyers mount an aggressive medical defense. Garland has diabetes requiring daily insulin injections. He has documented heart problems. They claim he may have cancer, producing medical records that paint him as a dying man. They argue he's too fragile to survive extradition, let alone American imprisonment. The Belfast court, whether genuinely moved by his condition or influenced by political sensitivities surrounding an Irish Republican's extradition, grants bail on medical grounds. It's a stunning decision given charges that amount to economic warfare against a superpower. Garland posts bond, promises faithfully to appear at his next hearing, and walks out of the courthouse into the gray Belfast afternoon. Within hours, he crosses the border south into the Republic of Ireland. When his hearing date arrives, the Belfast courtroom contains only his empty chair. UK authorities issue a warrant, but their jurisdiction ends at the frontier. Sean Garland has escaped into his home country, where different laws and different political sympathies protect him. In Dublin, Garland transforms himself from fugitive to folk hero. He proclaims innocence to every journalist who will listen, framing the American charges as political persecution, retaliation for his opposition to the Iraq War, or simply punishment for decades of socialist activism. An eclectic coalition rallies behind him. Irish politicians, trade union leaders, artists, old IRA comrades with long memories, and international figures including folk legend Pete Seeger. The Hands-Off Sion Garland campaign reframes the entire narrative. He's not a counterfeiter who undermined global currency. He's an aged freedom fighter being hounded by an overreaching empire. The optics work brilliantly. A frail old man in a wheelchair versus the full might of the U.S. Justice Department. The Americans refused to surrender their quarry. In 2009, after years of procedural wrangling, Irish police rearrest Garland at Washington's request. A new extradition hearing convenes in Dublin's High Court. By now, Garland is 75 and visibly diminished, appearing in court pale and thin, sometimes needing assistance to stand. His defense deploys a technical argument rooted in Irish constitutional law. The Republic prohibits extraditing its own citizens for crimes committed on Irish soil. If Garland distributed counterfeit currency, his lawyers argue, that distribution occurred primarily in Ireland, not in America. Irish courts have jurisdiction. Let Ireland prosecute if it wants, but don't ship an elderly Irish citizen overseas to face a foreign legal system. On December 21, 2011, Justice John Edwards delivers a ruling that leaves American prosecutors stunned. Extradition denied. He refers the case to Ireland's Director of Public Prosecutions for potential domestic charges, but everyone in the courtroom understands the gesture is symbolic. No Irish prosecution ever materializes, whether because authorities lack sufficient evidence or because the political will to convict a Republican icon simply isn't there. Sion Garland walks out of the Dublin courtroom a free man. The old fox has outmaneuvered the eagle. He retreats to a cottage in County Meath and lives out his remaining years in quiet obscurity. He gives occasional interviews to sympathetic journalists, but never admits guilt, never names his contacts in Pyongyang, never reveals the full scope of the operation. On a cold December day in 2018, Sion Garland dies peacefully in his own bed at age 84. Not in prison, not in public disgrace, but surrounded by family and comrades who considered him a hero to the end. The FBI and Secret Service, who spent 16 years and millions of dollars hunting him, are left holding a thick case file and nursing jurisdictional fury. The thief got away in broad daylight. He took the full secrets of the superdollar conspiracy to his grave. But his legacy is in your wallet right now. Pull out any $100 bill printed after 2013, and you're looking at Garland's monument. A 3D holographic security ribbon woven into the paper that shifts from bells to 100 when tilted. A color-changing Liberty Bell inside a copper inkwell. An oversized off-center portrait of Franklin surrounded by microscopic features that cost the Treasury over a decade and hundreds of millions of dollars to develop. All of it exists because one Irish revolutionary and one rogue nuclear state proved the old design could be cloned to perfection. The 1996 Big Head redesign was the first emergency response to the supernote threat, a desperate attempt to stay one step ahead of Pyongyang's counterfeiters. The 2013 overhaul was the definitive answer, incorporating security features so advanced that replicating them would require building an entirely new facility from scratch. Since those changes, no new supernote variants have been detected anywhere in the world. The counterfeiting operation died, either because Garland's network collapsed after his arrest, because the new bills proved mathematically impossible to replicate with existing technology, or because North Korea simply found more profitable ways to generate hard currency. That last possibility should concern you. When the superdollar pipeline dried up, Pyongyang didn't abandon its quest to steal from the global economy. They pivoted to cyberspace, a realm where you don't need printing presses or diplomatic pouches. The same regime that counterfeited cash now counterfeits digital transactions, hacking cryptocurrency exchanges and international banks, stealing billions through operations that make Garland's leather bag hotel deals look charmingly old-fashioned. If you want to see how Kim Jong-un's hackers became the most dangerous financial threat on the planet, capable of stealing more in a single operation than the entire supernote scheme generated in a decade, watch our video on the Lazarus Group, the team that stole $1 billion without ever leaving North Korea.